Hi, it's Steve with TeaQuilts, and I'm here today working with a card trick block. It's also a Gill optional block that we're making as a group, so all of the fabrics will be scrappy. And we're also using black as our background, but you can use any color that you want for your background. So to the far right, I have written the fabric cutting instructions for the entire block. But I'm going to start with the background fabric. So first, you will need a 5 1/4 inch square. And then you're going to cut that square twice diagonally to yield 4 triangles. Second, you're going to need 2 5-inch squares. And then you're going to cut those squares once diagonally. I'm going to switch out my fabrics for my 4 different bright mediums, and then I will show you what you're cutting there. Pieces from 4 different fabrics that are bright medium prints. From those fabrics, I have cut 1 each 5-inch square, as well as 1 each 3 3/4 inches square from each print. So there's 4 prints here, as the same that's up at the top. So then I want to cut each stack in half diagonally just once. And that's all the cutting that you're going to need for this block. After you finish cutting, this is what you should have for your pieces for this block. The next step is to start sewing. We want to take one color of the large half square triangles and the black large half square triangles and sew them together. So I am going to remove half of the color prints from the wall, and then we're going to make half square triangles by adding the large black half square triangles that were cut from your 5-inch squares. And then we're going to square these up to 4 1/2 inches. And likewise with your color prints, you want to just remove half of your prints. And now we're going to sew these units together. When we sew these units together, we want to sew it like so, with the black triangle always to the left. So if you just put your black triangles in position, then you can just place your small triangles that need to be sewed. And so you can just flip and sew these units together and take them to your sewing machine so that you know where you're going to sew. Now you want to take your smaller units that were left over from these units here, so those 3 3/4 inch squares, you want to now sew these together into an hourglass block. So I will do that, and then I will show you the next step. I now have my hourglass block sewn, and then I still have these 4 triangles that I need to sew to the opposite sides of this unit. Now the tricky part of the card trick is that you need to now lay your block out so that you know which color goes onto each one of these. You can't just match them up. You can't randomly do it. So once you piece your center, you need to then lay out your block. So we're now going to lay out our block. I have my hourglass in the middle, and there is a trick to how you put the card trick block together. Whatever fabric is matching here, you want your half square triangle to be sitting in that position. And you will do that all the way around the block. You actually want those to meet up. So now you got something that kind of looks like a pinwheel block. So now you need to add your corner blocks. And you want the corner to match up as well. And you want to keep the large half square triangle on the outside of the block. Now the last step is to add in the pieced half square triangle in each of these 4 sections. So you still want these pieces to meet up in color. So I would want this green to continue like it's an overlapping square. So therefore I need this piece to go in here. And so it's just a good idea to lay out your block before you piece the final units together. So I will go do that and I will be back. Here are my completed block units. Just remember when you're putting the block together that all of your black should be going around the outside edge of your block or your background, whatever fabric it is that you're choosing to work on this quilt with. So now I just have a giant 9 patch to sew together, and I am going to do that, and then I will come back with my completed block. Again, I just want to state again that you need to square all of your units up to 4 1/2 inches square before you sew this block together. So I'll see you in a bit. I'm back with my completed blocks. And since I cut 2 of them just to show you the cutting in a sped up fashion, I went ahead and sewed both blocks. And I got both blocks on the wall because I did something different, because I want you to notice how easy it is to switch up a block. So if you're trying to make this quilt and make 12 exact blocks, it's very easy when you're piecing your hourglass in the middle. If you don't keep those consistent, then your blocks will not be consistent. So this hourglass has green on top and bottom, but the orange and yellow fabrics have been reversed. And that means that your block will not be consistent throughout your quilt if that is what you're trying to do. Some other tips on this block is squaring up. You really need to know how to use a square up ruler when squaring up those 3-part squares. So these units here, that's more of an advanced squaring up technique in order to make sure all of your points come out right. If I had to do this block again, I would make sure that my pieces were cut to size so that I would not have to square up. But then on the flip side, that means that you would have to have accurate sewing in order for your blocks to come out correct. That being said, here are the card trick blocks that I made. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.